So one of the things it says, Chazal tell us, the Gemara tells us, when it speaks about the coming closer to the mountain, getting closer to the mountain Torah, the receiving of the Torah. So the Gemara says, speaks about the days leading up to Mount Torah. It says when they arrived, finally, when they reached on Rosh Chodesh, the first day that they reached the mountain, the Gemara says, Talmud says that Hashem did not tell them anything that day because of Chulsha Orcha, that they were tired from their ways, which is a very puzzling thing. The language of the Talmud, the language of the Gemara is Hashem didn't say, I told them nothing, which is very kind of strange because if you think about it, the whole idea of the going out of Mitzrayim, the whole idea of leaving Egypt is Tavnas Lakim al Harasa. They should come to the mountain to serve Hashem on Shavuos, to receive the Torah. And the deeper reason that the Ram brings down for the Medrash, the deeper reason why we read it, why we say every day the sphere of Omer, when they count the Omer, the counting is a counting down to count to the days to receive the Torah. So they're anticipating for 49 days, they're anticipating for 40 plus days to get to the mountain. And finally, when they arrive at the mountain, because of their tiredness, nothing is told to them, because of Chul Shadorcha, because they're tired. It's problematic. I mean, if you think about it, and imagine someone is anticipating something and waiting for something to happen. They finally arrived at the place that they're waiting for such a long period of time. And now they say, okay, now you can go to sleep. Even if people are tired, who could sleep? Who would even rest in a time when they're anticipating such magnitude, such a tremendous transformation and revelation? So in the Sichos, the Rebbe once explained that the idea of Chul Shadorcha, when the Gemara says that they rested, and because of the tiredness of their way, they weren't told anything on the day that Rosh Chodesh, the day that they came to Mount Torah, they came to Sinai, they came to Har Sinai, doesn't mean that they were physically tired, therefore they were not told anything. But Hashem was trying to tell them that a way for them to open themselves up to experience something that's completely transcendent of the normative experiences that they usually had, to open themselves up to receive the divine wisdom, the transcendent wisdom of the Torah. They had to let go of their previous ways. So they were tired of their ways, meaning they were letting go of their previous ways. And that allowed them to open themselves up to experience truly the transcendent moment of Mount Torah. This is also, to expand upon this idea a little bit more, we find there's also a similar teaching. It's brought down in Chedush Harim that he writes that when the Gemara says, Hashem didn't tell him anything, he reads the words literally. That means that what happened at Mount Torah, what happened when they finally reached the mountain, what they were told is nothing. That they were told to be in an experience of nothingness, to empty themselves in order for a person to truly receive wisdom, in order for a person to receive wisdom that's extraordinary, that's beyond their capacity that they normally think of. To receive something that's extraordinary, you have to let go of your previous paradigms of thinking. Because if you don't let go of your previous paradigms of thinking, if there's a certain urcha, there's a certain way that you're thinking, and you receive something deeper, the knee-jerk way of thinking about this and the reaction of that is that you always unfold what you're learning, something new, within the context of something that you already know from previously. So you're not open to really experience something new. And every experience that you're going to experience new, even if it seems to be extraordinary, you're always going to place it within the context of your previous experiences. So the only way for them to truly receive the experience of the giving of the Torah, which was a complete transformation where the above became entered into the below, and the below was transformed to become part of the above, where there's a complete transformation of the physicality, that it can be a vessel and a receptacle to receive the highest divine wisdom, that we can transform the physical world, and that we have shlita in the physical world, that the Ein Sof, the infinite light, is given over to us. Yisod Shaloisa, that we have the power to transform, with this infinite power to transform creation itself, the physical reality of creation itself, is something that even the others, even the holy patriarchs, did not experience. They were like wind. They were experienced in the moment, and they did the mitzvah in the moment, whatever the mitzvah was, whether it was putting on film through the barks, laying of the barks, through Yaakov, or any of the mitzvah that they did. The moment that they stopped experiencing the mitzvah, the moment they were no longer encountering the mitzvah, the object itself was not transformed. What happened to Mount Torah was that the above was entered the below, and there was a complete transformation. So in order for this to experience this, they had to let go of their oirach. The oirach is their path. They had to experience a chulsha, a weakening of their path, a weakening of their previous paradigms and way of thinking. This is true with any type of experience. Anytime we want to learn something new, and certainly when Shavuos is coming up, and every year we receive the new Chiddush Torah that we're going to reveal, the new innovative understandings of the Torah that's going to come to us throughout the entire year. The way we enter into this state of consciousness to receive the Torah in a higher way is through a type of chulsha, through a type of weakening of the mind. This is what perhaps one of the reasons why, according to the Tzaddikim, according to the Kabbalah, what you're supposed to do on the night of Shavuos is not necessarily, and specifically not, sit and study with great depth and great iyun and try to figure another piece of Gemara or even a Zohar to learn Torah, but it's more about scanning and more about reading, because you're supposed to stay up the entire night as your body becomes weakened and your mind becomes even weakened, and the weakening of the mind and the weakening of the body itself, the chulsha, allows the person to be in a state of nimulanim, which is sort of half awake and half asleep, and through that to experience, they give me not in a sleep state, because that was the mistake of Klal Yisrael, that they tried to sleep, and Shin Sarev that they felt that maybe they can experience the giving of the Torah in a completely transcendent state of sleep, but to be awake, but in a way that this chulsha, there's a certain weakening of the path. There's a derech and there's an oirach. The Zohar talks about the two different types of paths in this world. The derech is the general path in this world, and the oirach, which is trodden by many people, and you're just following this path. And the oirach is the individual path that a person takes in this world. And even the oirach, even the individual path that a person takes in their life, they're carving their own path, they're forging their own way, in order for us to receive higher wisdom. And this every single year we have to experience and re-experience it, because the giving of the Torah is nice. Torah is continuously, Hashem continuously gives the Torah, and certainly on the night of Shavuos, the day of Shavuos. In order for us to enter into that state, we became like one people. We reached the level of bittul, of nullification of what I know and I understand. This is the way I think this is true. And the moment we let go of that, we're able to enter into a higher state and to receive higher wisdom. And it's interesting that the primary revealing of Torah that was revealed on the night of Shavuos, of course, everything that was revealed, everything that would eventually be revealed is Nitl Moshe Sinai. Everything was given from Sinai. It was given at the Sinai experience. But that was, like the Shalah explains, that was given there klolis in a very general way. But specifically, it was revealed throughout years. And in a more general way of speaking, what was really revealed in the experience of Sinai was Ataresa. What we really experienced was a spiritual experience. We experienced a collective spiritual experience, a collective transcendent experience, not an individual person experiencing prophecy, but a collective prophecy, a collective experience that we all collectively experienced transcendent. And that was the giving of the Torah. The giving of the Torah was the pnimius of Torah. That what was revealed on Mount Torah was more the pnimius of Torah, the inner aspects of the Torah. When you look at the language of Chazal, the way the sages speak about the difference in the way it's language and the syntax, is that when it speaks about learning Gemara or learning Jewish law, it's a derech. A person's learning a derech. It's halacha. Halacha means it's a path. It's halicha. There's a movement, which is a derech means, a path means where there is a beginning. You start the path, and then you know where the destination is. So for persons, let's say learning Gemara, let's say learning Talmud. So the idea is to start off with a very abstract idea of what the svara, what the explanation of each Tana is and each Amor is, what's the explanation. Go a little bit deeper to understand the machlekes or shayna, the arguments between the early commentators, Rashi and Tosfos, Yittiv, Rashba, etc. Then to go all the way down, all the way to the final great Rosh Hashivas of the past generations, which means to dissect it, to go through the svara, the understanding of it, and then finally, if a person is learning, a person is learning according to law, the finality of the learning is saying, how is that practical in my day-to-day life in the world of halacha? So there's a destination. I know clearly that I'm starting off by understanding the concept. Then I'm going to go slowly until I get to its final destination, so to speak, which is halicha. It's a path. It's a project that has a movement. There's a point A, the point B, and then the point S. and you're constantly moving, going from aleph to taf. That's halicha. In Chazal, the interesting thing is when the sages speak about someone that's involved in the study of Pardes, the inner aspects of the Torah, it's someone that's matayil with Pardes, someone that's that's roaming in the world of Pardes. Matayil means someone that's like taking a gingerly roam on the countryside. It's not someone that has a licha. What's the difference between a licha and a matayil? A licha means a person that's going and there's a certain destination. I know I have to go from point A to point Z. I know I have to go from aleph to taf, and I'm going on these steps. But a person that's Isaac in that person that gets involved in the world of Pardes and the inner aspect of Torah, the way the sages describe it, he's a matayil. Matayil means he's taking a teal, he's taking a stroll. Because what the difference between taking a walk and taking a stroll is when you're taking a walk, you have a certain destination. I know I need to get to the store, I need to get to the stroll, I need to go a certain place. So I'm going from point A to point Z. When you're taking a stroll, wherever you're going to decide, you're going to see something interesting on this side, you're going to move to that direction. Something interesting on the other side, you can go to the other direction because you're strolling. You don't have a destination. And the idea is to be immersed in the experience, and that's the world of Pardes. That's the world of the inner aspect of the Torah. Is that a person has to be metal, has to let go of a certain derech, a certain expectation that I know that the end result is going to be this. I have to figure out how I get to end the result. If I'm learning a certain halacha, or even learning a Gemara, I always have the intention in mind that I have to get to a certain result and end. And I know what that end is. The end is how it articulates itself in the world of practicality, in the world of halacha. When a person is mitayil, the parts of the Torah, someone that's taking a stroll within the inner aspects of the Torah, then there is no the destination. That's the journey as itself is the destination. And you sometimes you go in this direction, sometimes you go in the other direction, and sometimes you end with a certain conclusion, sometimes you don't end with a conclusion, and it's all good because you're mitayil the parts of the Torah. This perhaps is also the deeper reason why it says that they had to let go of the chulsha, the chulsha. There had to be a chulsha. There had to be a weakening of the oirach, a weakening of a certain expectation of thought, as understanding that I'm going to take this idea and I'm going to articulate it and understand it until it gets to its resolution. That's one way of learning, and that way of learning is very goal oriented, and it's always with a certain objective to get to that point. But sometimes when you want to have a truly mystical or deeper type of experience in life, you want to experience the pardes, the inner aspects of the Torah. You want to be matayil the Torah. And this is, you want to enter into the world of strolling in the sacred space of the Torah. And this is what Chazal is saying on a very deep level. In order for Klal Yisrael, for us to experience Matan Torah, to truly experience the spiritual aspect of Matan Torah, the idea of the Matan Torah as the revealing of the spirituality, of the inner workings of creation. Vayera Hashem al Har Sinai, Hashem lowered himself to Mount Sinai, is V'yizgala Hashem Har Sinai. Hashem revealed himself to Har Sinai. And Hashem revealed himself to Anoich Hashem Elokecha. Hashem revealed himself to every single individual person that we individually each experience the individual aspect of Hashem, as if an encounter of a face-to-face relationship upon Dibur, that we had a face-to-face relationship with the living God. In order for us to enter into that experience, we have to be matayil. We have to let go of the oirach. So the truth is that when we left Mitzrayim, there was a path that we have to get to Matan Torah. We have to get to Tavenas L'Kim Al Harazeh, to serve on the mountain. So we left Egypt, and there was steps. And there was masayos. There were certain steps that we had to go from point one to point two until we get to Sinai, until we get the experience that we're going to be at the mountain. But then when we got to the mountain and we want to experience the pnimis HaTorah, the inner aspect of the Torah, the parts of the Torah, which also includes all the other oirachs and all the other paths and all the other drachim and all the other directions. But we want to get into the inner aspect of the Torah to experience the pnimius. We have to let go of the urcha. We have to let go of the path and be this present within the experience itself and open ourselves up to whatever becomes revealed to us at any time. And this is a foundational idea in general in studying Pnimius HaTorah, in general studying deeper aspects of the Torah, to let go of a certain expectation, especially when you learn Torah, certain types of teachings that are not familiar, and you're saying, okay, so you're trying to fold this idea within an older context. And that's the first thing, to let go of that notion. So allow yourself to enter into fully the experience. But in general, when a person learns Pnimis HaTorah, this is true also with Nigla Torah, but certainly this is true with inner aspects of the Torah, you have to suspend the certain expectations that you're expecting of the certain type of results that you're expecting. You're saying, I'm going to enter this thing, and at the end, I'm going to have a certain answer to a certain question. So I'm going to learn this this piece of Chassidus, this let's say this mimer, this discourse of Chassidus, and there's going to be a question that's asked, and then at the end I'm going to come to the conclusion. I'm going to say, okay, so why did this happen, or why does the pasuk say this, and why the verse says this, or why the Talmud phrases this and the other thing. But the truth is that the idea of learning Chassidus, of being immersed in the world of Chassidus, and this you see certainly with the Mamorim of the Hemshechim, the longer Mamorim that had a long continuation that were said throughout many Shabbos, and many sometimes throughout many years, certainly from the Rebbe Rashab and from the Middle Rebbe. So Marash also, that there was, even from the Rebbe had some small Hemshechim, but the idea of the Hemshech is that they were to live in Chassidus, to be immersed in the experience of learning, not to necessarily say I want to know answers to a question. And sometimes, for that reason, sometimes the beginnings, the headings, which were the questions, and the ends, which were the answers, were put in after the mimer, because the mimer itself, the discourse itself, wanted a person to live in the world of the spiritual wisdom, to be metayel b'parts HaTorah, to travel in that world without a destination, and not to say I'm going to learn this and have a vort, a nice short sweet thing to say over. There's a question and then I can have an answer. That's one way of learning, and that's a very directed and process-oriented, linear way of learning. And there's an oirach, there's a path, there's a derech, and this is a question and here's an answer. But Chabad, that a lot of them are more, most of them are, is that the Rebbeim wanted that a person should be matayel b'parts HaTorah, to enter into that world of spiritual wisdom, and to travel there, and to meander there, to be a tourist, to this gingerly walk around and be immersed in that world. And that's the true shashoim. That's the true pleasure of a mesikas HaTorah that a person has when they can be matayel in the aspect of Torah. Everyone should be zeicha. We should zeicha Klal Yisrael, that we should receive the Torah b'simcha v'pnimius this year in a joyful way and in an inner way. And we should see, there's like in the times of Matan Torah in the beginning, the first time the Matan Torah was given, receiving the Torah, there was tremendous miracles, and people were healed from all their illness, and the world was healed from all its suffering. Hashem should bring down tremendous amount of healing, and we should see Nisim Gluim reveal miracles, certainly over Shavuos this year, for all of Klal Yisrael, for the entire world, and Karv, we should see the Kulam Mitzvah Shlema, immediate redemption.